Welcome back here at Cardinals Field. Our Newport Gulls pregame show continues. Now time for the Gulls Insider, joined today by former Gulls broadcaster and current director of game day operations, George Bissell. George, how are you today?
Great to be here, Nick. Thanks for having me on. Good to see you.
George, talk about early in the season here. General Manager Chuck Paver always says June is spring training, July is the season. But so far, the Gulls have been sensational. 3-0, that big 16-3 victory here the other night. Big win on the road, 2 wins on the road, actually, so far for Newport and their Eastern Division opponent, Sanford, in town here tonight.
Well, you're right, Nick. The offense has been the story so far, but really the offense hasn't needed to carry this pitching staff. They've done an outstanding job. Starting rotation the first time through has looked really good. This looks like a really solid team. I think when you break it down, top to bottom, this might be the best pitching staff that the Gulls have ever assembled. And you talked about it. Early in the season, it's guys getting used to those wood bats, the adjustment period, and then the pitchers getting used to this league and some of the guys here. So I think this team's only going to improve from this point on, but obviously a very talented team and a lot of upside going forward.
Well, the offense, defense, and pitching staff are all leading the NECBL in some categories right now. The Gulls have only played 3 games, and many other teams in the league have played 5, 6, or 7. So with that, George, of course, the Gulls have had a few off days here, have had a relatively slow start compared to other teams in the NECBL. Does that mean it's going to be harder down the stretch for Newport?
Well, I think, Nick, you can't go into any game expecting to score 16 runs like this team did the other night, but obviously it's a very talented group. You saw this team lead the league in ERA last season with pitching coach Kevin Long. Hitting coach Al Leva, he does a great job with his hitters as well. I think you'll see all these guys showing up to the park early, taking some hand toss, working on their mechanics with him even 2-3 hours before the game. So obviously these guys are dedicated to get better, and I think this team can get better. It would not shock me to see them lead the NECBL in a lot of statistical categories this season.
Talk about a little bit about your new role, Director of Game Day Operations, George, and you're handling up a lot of the front office work.
Well, I'll tell you what, Nick, it's a lot of work. You go to bed at night and you think, oh, I should have done that, or oh, I still have these 10 more things to do. But it's a never-ending battle to stay on top of things. But I really embraced the challenge, and it's a real learning experience for me, I think. There's a lot of things that I've never had to do before that now are my responsibility. So it's kind of adjusting to that and really relying on the people around you to come through. And the volunteers in this organization, you never really appreciate them until you're relying on them on a daily basis. And I really appreciate all that these volunteers do for this organization and make this possible, this great special team we have here in Newport.
And George, talking about the people that work with you in the front office, the various interns and staff members who are and other personnel who are there on a daily basis, we'll be talking to them here on the pregame show as part of the Gulls Overview throughout the season, myself, Catherine Haas, and others. But do you want to talk a little bit about them and what kind of roles and jobs they have?
Well, sure. We have, first of all, Brianna Paganetti. She's our Community Relations Director. She handles our summer camps and our Fanatic About Reading program, which I know you've talked about on the broadcast a number of times, but that's a big part of what we do. We also have Jimmy Nicholson, who's our ballpark operations manager. He handles the show here at the ballpark on most nights. He's always going around. He has a couple game day assistants with him, Cassandra Lee, Jackie Beatrice, Doug Caleri. We got a great sound guy in Kurt Baylor. We're still looking for an official score, unfortunately. That's one hole that...
So if you're out there, we need you.
We're still looking for someone to fill that void, but we have a really great staff. They do a great job. They're the most dedicated people in this organization, and without them, none of this would be possible.
Director of Game Day Operations, George Bissell, thanks for joining us here on the Gulls Insider. We'll catch up with you again later in the season.
Thanks very much, Nick. Good luck tonight.
Thank you, George. The pregame show continues. Mike Coombs is next here on the NECBL Broadcast Network.